A lot of this research is incredibly interesting and just makes me extremely passionate, as you can probably tell, James, in wanting to let couples know that it is so important we talk about our finances, because money in relationships, it is one of the number one reasons of couple breakdown.
What do you make of all that then? I mean, why do you think people are doing that and keeping their finances from each other? Is it embarrassment, or is it not wanting them to know how much they earn, perhaps? What do you think the reasons are?
Often it can come from stigma, and it can come from learned behavior and what's gone on before that relationship. And if we take our upbringing, a lot of us, if we sit right now and think about our upbringing and our influences and our financial role models, what was your money situation like when you were growing up? Was it plentiful? Was it hard? Was there issues around debt? All of those kind of habits and that learned behavior and those attitudes we can take from our childhood, and then we can bring them bang up to date into our adult life as well. And now let's also put into the equation other relationships that we may have had. A lot of people can get a bit burned in previous relationships. Perhaps there's been some issue around money or debt or control or embarrassment. And there is a learned behavior also that's playing in, where a certain bit of attitude has come in. Well, I'm not doing that again, or I am going to do that again, or that didn't work that time, so I want it to work this time. So what it comes down to really in a relationship with finances is compromise and honesty and openness, and not being afraid to have that conversation with your partner, to sit down and say, look, things between us, they're going pretty good right now, but actually a huge part of being in a relationship is financial management. It dictates everything we do. Date nights, what we eat, where we live, what we can afford to do. So we must make it an important part and normalize it of day-to-day conversation.
Yeah. Do you think the tension comes from, often it comes to splitting the bill, or it comes to, how are we going to pay for this holiday or whatever? And the person is reticent to say, well, actually, I've got a feeling you might be on this, so I think I should be paying a bit less, but we don't, and then we keep it, in all relationships, the fault lines are often with not communicating with each other well enough. And is this perhaps one of the biggest ones?
Yeah, I was exactly going to say that. It's effective communication. And you can have these conversations in a way that perhaps was a bit more relaxed, less accusatory. Because the minute we start going, into an awkward situation of, well, you're being secretive, why don't you tell me? Straight away, we're defensive. So, you know what? It's a little bit of push-pull. You give a little bit of information and you be vulnerable about your financial situation or your financial attitudes. Guess what? Your partner will come back at you and hopefully mirror and match you with theirs. So it's really important that you sit down and say, look, and often it's just confronting that elephant and going, this feels a bit awkward. It's not something I'm used to doing, but it is important because we insert issue of financial, we're saving for a holiday. But it's important we talk about it because I don't know whether I'm expecting too much from you financially or too little from you or vice versa. And it feels very confusing. And the thing is, when we start to really hold back on anything in our relationship, that is where the wheels start to come unstuck, because you think, well, if they're being secretive about that, I don't really know them, what else could they perhaps be hiding? And I'm not saying that in a sinister way, but the more honest and open and transparent we are in a relationship about everything, the more strong that relationship will be. And financial communication, as we know from our research for Capital One, it's pretty lacking, and we need to improve this in the UK.
Well, it's something perhaps a lot of the celebs might not be lacking in your programme.
I want to be in love.
I need to be treated like a princess. I want to be the first ever celeb to go dating wedding.
Oh!
What?
Tell us a little bit about that. As an expert, we've got you here. What do you make of the dating scene at the moment, particularly in London for our viewership? Because it's where it's most intense often, and there is so much going on, particularly in the last sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 years even. It's changed so much. Tell us a bit about what you make of it all. Are you positive? Are you cynical about the way things are happening nowadays? And particularly with the pandemic that's really affected single people quite a lot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm always positive about love, and I'm always positive about dating. But you're right, we've taken an enormous hit in dating and relationships due to the pandemic. The facts are the facts that the majority of dating now and introductions and meeting people is done online. That's okay, but it's not for everybody. So it isn't the only way to meet people. But what I say to people now when it comes to dating is we live in a very fast-paced culture now, a swipe left, swipe right. It's like a supermarket, isn't it? And I think we're placing very high expectations on sort of surface level. And I think we are looking often for perfectionism in people. And because there's so much choice now, if someone doesn't tick all the boxes straight away, there is that ability to just go, I'll move on, I'll see with someone else, without really investing in that person to find out actually where are the layers. Okay, if there's enough of an attraction there and enough that's grabbed you initially, keep going with it. Give that second date, third date, fourth date, if there is something burning away. And I think this is what we're really seeing as the trend, is this sort of supermarket, next. And I would argue that too many people are looking for perfection. There is no such thing as a perfect relationship.
Yeah. When it comes to those expectations people have, as you say, the bar being a bit too high, do you think social media is at fault for that, and just the way things are nowadays in terms of the way we look at celebrities, Instagrammers, sort of influencers, those sort of people, and it's really damaging the way normal people are looking at each other when they come to dating?
It definitely has an impact, yes. And a lot of my job is telling people, particularly the younger generation, there's a filter. There's a filter. Look beyond that filter. And what I would say, it's not necessarily celebrities' fault, but it's for people to remember that this is a business for celebrities. That selfie that they've posted in the bikini, that's taken them probably 30 attempts with a professional team that have been trying to get that photo. That relationship you're seeing played out on social media, it might seem perfect, but trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Hey, maybe it is, but if you see the Kardashians and all of this, what we need to start doing is not measuring ourselves against celebrities that we see on social media, and follow people that are authentic.